It started off as a relatively normal day on March 11, 1958. The Gregg family were happily going about their day in typical fashion on their cozy South Carolina homestead in Mars Bluff. Walter, the father, was working in his tool shed with his son Walter Jr. Effie, the mother, was sewing in her front parlor, and the two daughters Helen and Frances were playing in their yard with their cousin Ella Davies. Life was pretty good for the Gregg family that day. That was until sometime after 4:30 p.m. when something quite peculiar happened. A massive object fell out of the sky and landed right in the Gregg family's garden, and the force of the impact was enough to violently disturb the object's dangerous payload. The resulting explosion replaced the garden with a 70-foot wide crater, flattened the children's playhouse, and knocked their house off its foundation, as well as damaging other surrounding structures. The Gregg family were injured, yet they narrowly avoided being killed by the blast, making them the first U.S. citizens in history to survive an atomic bomb being dropped on American soil. Now you may be asking, how in the holy hell did something like this happen? An atomic bomb dropped on a farm in rural South Carolina? Well, the event happened as the result of a rather foolish yet innocent mistake. At approximately 4:34 p.m., a Boeing B-47E Stratojet flown by Captain Earl Kohler took off from Hunter Air Force Base en route for Royal Air Force Station Bruntingthorpe in the United Kingdom in order to participate in a training mission called Operation Snow Flurry. Its cargo was a Mark VI atomic bomb, which had a circumference of 61 inches, a length of a little over 10 feet, and a weight of about 7,600 pounds. Being roughly the size of a small car, it definitely fit the description of a weapon of mass destruction. Now, during the flight, Captain Kohler noticed on his instrument panel in the cockpit a faulty indicator light that suggested that the Mark VI's locking pin wasn't properly engaged. So Captain Kohler sent his navigator/bombardier, Captain Bruce Kulka, to check on the Mark VI. As he approached the Mark VI, Captain Kulka leaned on the bomb in order to climb up and check the locking pin, unfortunately grabbing the emergency release pin by mistake. The Mark VI dropped and landed right on the bomb bay doors, much to Captain Kulka's horror. Seconds later, the bomb bay doors were forced open under the enormous weight, and the Mark VI disappeared from view as it plummeted to the earth. Now you may be wondering how in the hell anyone survived when the Mark VI dropped on the Gregg family's garden. I mean, it's an atomic bomb. How were they not vaporized in the blast, and why wasn't the area surrounding Mars Bluff evacuated because of the resulting radioactive fallout? Well, the explanation is quite simple. Per Air Force regulations of the day, when a nuclear weapon is being transported on an aircraft, the fissile nuclear core, also called the pit, is removed from the bomb itself and stored in a separate part of the aircraft for safety reasons. So the reason why there was no nuclear devastation in South Carolina that day was because the atomic bomb that landed on the Gregg farm wasn't exactly atomic at that moment. In the aftermath of the incident, the Gregg family rightfully sued the United States Air Force and walked away with a big fat juicy settlement totaling over $54,000. That's the equivalent of $500,000 in today's money. The incident kind of ruined the idea of life in the country for the Gregg family, who subsequently relocated to another town in South Carolina and eventually sold their property in Mars Bluff. On a rather touching and somewhat humorous note, the flight crew of the B-47 that accidentally dropped the Mark VI on their farm wrote several letters to the Gregg family apologizing for the damage to their property, and apparently the family must have forgiven them because they eventually stayed in touch for years to come and even had them come and stay in their new home as guests. While the incident was indeed a headline-making embarrassment for the Air Force, they decided to use it constructively by researching alternative detonation systems for future nuclear weapons to prevent a similar incident from ever happening again. So the reason why there are numerous safety features on nuclear weapons today was because of the lessons learned from the Mars Bluff incident of 1958. If you like this video, please show your support by hitting the like button and sharing it with your friends. If you're curious about my future content and want to hear more extraordinary tales, then please subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified when new content is uploaded. Until next time, have a lovely day, stay safe out there, and most importantly, look for the extraordinary!